People are getting curious to know about novel coronavirus, which has already claimed around 82,000 lives throughout the world. There are different aspects of coronavirus. Today, we will try to discuss about the viral replication and the replication strategy adopted by coronavirus. So let me share the screen. So the topic of today's discourse is viral replication and machinery of the novel coronavirus. So, viruses are a unique group of infectious agents which infect cells and use their metabolic processes to replicate. They have no metabolic activity outside the host cell, so they are called the non-living infectious organism. They must enter the host cell to replicate. A complete viral particle or virion consists of one or more molecules of DNA or RNA enclosed in a coat of protein. Some viruses have additional layers that can be very complex and contain carbohydrates, lipids, and additional proteins. So viral replication, viruses being the intracellular obligate parasites, that means they cannot replicate or reproduce or express their genes without the help of a living cell. A single viral particle or virion is in and of itself essentially inert. It lacks needed components that cells have to produce. When a virus infects a cell, it marshals the cell's ribosomes, enzymes, and much of the cellular machinery to replicate. So here we can see the virus is getting attached to the receptor present on the cell surface of the host, and it is entering into the host cell, and finally it may go to straight to the nucleus to impinge its nucleic acid. Now, regarding the viral reproduction, we know it should attach to the receptor of the host cell surface, then entry, then it will replicate, and finally it will assemble into the new packet of nucleocapsid, and it will get released of the infected cell. Regarding the replication of bacteriophage, we know that there are different types aspects. One is the lytic, another is the lysogenic. Lytic, it follows the absorption, entry, replication, assembly, and finally release from the infected cell. And in case of lysogenic cycle, the bacteriophage first impinges within the bacterial cell and incorporates its part of nucleic acid with the bacterial genome and reside there as the prophage. And depending on the environment, they will follow this lytic cycle, and they will again lyse the bacterial cell and get themselves released. Now we are coming to the human coronavirus, the most deadly virus. And depending on the crown-like structure, it is known as a coronavirus. This is spikes. COVIs belong to the subfamily Coronavirini, family Coronaviridae, order Nidovirales. The subfamily includes 4 genera: alpha, beta, gamma, and delta coronavirus. These are the electron micrograph of the coronavirus. Regarding the taxonomy of human coronavirus, there are 6 important species. There is human coronavirus 229E, human coronavirus NL63. These 2 belong to genus alpha coronavirus, whereas human coronavirus OC43 and HKU1, they belong to beta coronavirus. We know about the SARS and MERS. SARS is a severe acute respiratory syndrome, and the MERS is the Middle East respiratory syndrome. These 2 types of coronavirus, they also belong to the genus beta coronavirus. Now, regarding the classification of the virus, which type of virus it is. Baltimore classified the virus into 7 different classes based on its genome structure. First one is containing double-stranded DNA. Second one, single-stranded DNA. Third group contains double-stranded RNA. Fourth and fifth groups, they contain single-stranded RNA. Fourth group contains single-stranded RNA of positive conformity, and fifth contains single-stranded RNA of negative sense. Sixth one contains single-stranded RNA with reverse transcriptase, and 7 double-stranded RNA with reverse transcriptase. Our point of interest, that is human coronavirus, belongs to this group, that is the fourth group, single-stranded RNA with positive sense. It's so beautiful looking, and here we can see the structures. That is the proteins and the envelope, and within this envelope there is a single-stranded RNA, and these are the spike glycoprotein. In protein, hemagglutinin esterase dimer, then RNA and nucleocapsid protein, and envelope protein. Now we have to remember 2 things. One is genomic RNA, another is subgenomic RNA. These 2 things are the main culprits of the entire story. Genomic RNA means the RNA which is contained by the virus itself. And the subgenomic RNA is that RNA which is being produced from this genomic RNA after the entry of the virus within the host cell. Genomic RNA produces non-structural proteins, and subgenomic RNA produces structural proteins. The genomic RNA of COVID is a single-stranded positive sense RNA of 30 kilobase pair length with 5' cap structure and 3' poly A tail. The genomic RNA is used as a template to directly translate polyprotein 1A or 1AB, that is polypeptide 1A, polypeptide 1AB. Polypeptide 1A or 1AB, they produce the non-structural proteins. What are non-structural proteins? They are nothing but the replication transcription complexes, that is RTC, in a double membrane vesicle. Double membrane vesicle, we will come later on. A set of subgenomic RNAs, that is sgRNAs, are synthesized by these, rather with the help of these RTCs, in a manner of discontinuous transcription. These subgenomic messenger RNAs possess common 5' leader and 3' terminal sequences. Transcription termination and subsequent acquisition of a leader RNA occurs at transcription regulatory sequences located between open reading frames, that is ORFs. These minor strand subgenomic RNAs serves as the templates for the production of subgenomic mRNAs. How? Let us see. Human coronavirus, this is entering within the endosome of the cell, host cell. Now, from the endosome, it is getting released, and the genomic RNA, that is a single-stranded plus sense RNA, is coming out. This is the genomic RNA, and we know this genomic RNA, after translation, they will produce this polypeptide 1A and 1B. And this polypeptide, that is a protein complex, they will undergo proteolytic cleavage to produce 16 types of non-structural proteins. That means they are not contributing to form any structure like envelope or spike, anything. They are producing what? They are producing the replicase, primase, and all these enzymes which are required for the replication and transcription. So these are the replicase transcriptase, replication transcription complex, and also this double membrane vesicle. Now this genomic RNA, what it is doing, it is replicating with the help of this complex to daughter RNAs through a minor strand gRNA. Now this daughter strand is now ready for being assembled. But it requires the capsid. Who will produce that? They will be produced by the structural proteins, and the structural proteins will be produced by the subgenomic RNA. Subgenomic RNA, that means after transcription of this genomic RNA, the subgenomic RNA will be produced. Subgenomic RNA will act as an mRNA and it will produce the capsid protein, the proteins, the structural proteins. What are those proteins? Spike proteins, envelope protein, membrane protein, nucleocapsid protein. All these proteins are being produced within the lumen of our, that means the host endoplasmic reticulum. And finally, it will move to the Golgi for fine tuning and assembly of this daughter nucleic acid and the nucleocapsid. Now the virus is prepared, the daughters are prepared, they are coming to the smooth wall vesicles, and finally they are getting released from the cell. This is again a picture. The virus is coming inside the cell with the help of ribosome, because they do not enter the nucleus. They act in the cytoplasm of the host cell itself. They are utilizing the host ribosome, and as we have seen, they are producing the genomic and subgenomic RNAs and the structural proteins and non-structural proteins. With the help of non-structural proteins, this replication and transcription, translation, everything is going on, and they are finally forming this nucleocapsid. All this packaging process is okay. Now they are moving to the Golgi vesicle and finally outside the cell. The genomic and subgenomic genomes of a typical cori contain at least 6 open reading frames. The first open reading frames, about 2/3 of the whole genome length, encode 16 non-structural proteins, except gamma coronavirus, which doesn't have NSP1. There is a -1 frame shift between ORF1A and ORF1B, leading to the production of 2 polypeptides, polypeptide 1A and polypeptide 1AB. These polypeptides are processed by virally encoded chymotrypsin-like proteases, 3CL-PO, PRO, and or main protease MPRO, and one of the 2 papain-like proteases into 16 non-structural proteins. Now, this is the ORX of coronavirus and all other. And the coronavirus replicase polyprotein, this is the polypeptide 1AB. Now, positive strand RNA virus, a large group including human pathogens such as SARS coronavirus, replicate in the cytoplasm of infected host cell, not in the nucleus, but in the cytoplasm. Their replication complexes are commonly associated with modified host cell membranes. Membrane structures supporting viral RNA synthesis range from distinct spherular membrane invaginations to more elaborate waves of packed membrane and vesicles. Generally, their ultrastructure, morphogenesis, and exact role in viral replication remain to be defined because we do not know much about it. So, the virus is entering in the cell and it is impinging its RNA in the cytoplasm of the cell. So, what about the non-structural proteins? They are the replication transcription complex. So, let us see. So, first one, NSP1, it is responsible for cellular mRNA degradation, inhibiting interferon signaling. The second one, NSP2, we do not know anything about the function of it. Then NSP3, it acts in polypeptide cleaving, blocking post-innate immune response. Then NSP4, it helps in double membrane vesicle formation. NSP5, it helps in the formation of the protease formation, 3CL-PRO, MPRO, polypeptides cleaving, and also inhibiting the interferon signaling. Now NSP6, it helps in the restricting autophagosomes and expansion, and it is also helping in the DMV formation. Then cofactor with NSP, that is 7, it helps in cofactor with NSP8 and NSP12, that is helping. Now NSP8, it helps as a primase and also as a cofactor. NSP9, it helps in dimerization of RNA binding. NSP10, it helps in scaffold protein for NSP14 and NSP16. Sorry. Then NSP11, we don't know anything about this function. Then NSP12, it is acting as a primer, and it is acting as a RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. Then NSP13, it acts as a RNA helicase and 5' triphosphatase. Then NSP14, it helps as a exoribonuclease, and then NSP15, it acts as a endoribonuclease, and finally NSP16, it negatively regulates the innate immunity. So the non-structural proteins, they are having two types of functions. First one is they are acting as a replication transcription complex, and secondly, they inhibit the host immunity, that is the immune reaction. Other words, on the other third of the genome, near the 3' terminus, encodes at least 4 main structural proteins. There, the spike protein, the spike is it is making the spikes on the viral surface for attachment to host receptors. M protein, that is membrane protein, this gives the shapes of the variant, promotes membrane curvature and binds to the nucleocapsid. E protein, that's the envelope protein, in virus assembly, it is helping, and also in the release, in viral pathogenesis also. The nucleocapsid protein, that is N protein, it contains 2 domains, both of which can bind virus RNA genome to help tether the genome to replication transcription complex and package the encapsulated genome into virions. N is also an antagonist of interferon. Besides these 4 main structural proteins, different COVIDs, they are also having different types of other structural and accessory proteins, such as HE protein, 3AB protein, 4A and 4B protein. All the structural and accessory proteins are translated from the subgenomic RNAs of coronavirus. Since the mutation rates in the replication of RNA viruses are much higher than that of DNA virus, as our former speaker was telling, the genomes of RNA viruses are usually less than 10 kb in length, but the uniqueness of coronavirus remains here, that it is much larger with roughly 30 kb in length, the largest known RNA virus. So poorly characterized double membrane vesicles, that is DMVs, were previously implicated in SARS-CoV RNA synthesis. 3D imaging of this coronavirus induced membrane alteration at high resolution indicates a unique reticular vesicular network of modified endoplasmic reticulum that integrates convoluted membranes, numerous interconnected double membrane vesicles, and vesicle packets apparently arising from DMV merger. So what are the DMVs? DMVs are the double membrane vesicles, and these are being formed from our membrane system, that is from the endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi for the virus, and virus is hiding itself within this DMVs. So let's see. So these are the double membrane virus vesicles. ER.
Hello.
Now, hello.
Yeah. Hello.
So the double membrane vesicles are formed. The double-stranded RNA, presumably revealing the site of viral RNA synthesis, mainly localized to the DMV interior. After entry, virus induces reorganization of host cell membranes, just I am telling you, into a network which can be used for viral replication. and to hide replicating RNA from antiviral defense mechanisms. Specific positive RNA virus replicase subunits are targeted to the membranes of the particular cell organelles that are subsequently modified into characteristic structure with which the viral RNA synthesis is associated. It helps to coordinate different steps in the viral life cycle and to play the induction of post-defense mechanism that can be triggered by the double-stranded RNA, that is dsRNA, intermediates of plus RNA virus replication. The complexity of coronavirus RNA synthesis is further highlighted by the fact that it entails not only the production of new genome molecules from full-length negative strand RNA to replication, but also a unique mechanism of discontinuous RNA synthesis to generate subgenome length negative strand RNA templates for subgenomic mRNA production through transcription. The resulting set of subgenomic transcripts, that is 8 in the case of SARS coronavirus, it serves to express structural and accessory protein genes in the 3' proximal domain of the genome. Ultimately, new coronaviruses are assembled by budding of nucleocapsid into the lumen of the pre-Golgi membrane compartments. So these are the open reading frame of SARS and the MERS-CoV, and these are the polypeptides of SARS-CoV protein and the MERS-CoV protein. So as intracellular obligate parasite, human coronaviruses exploit the host cell machinery for their own replication and spread. Human coronavirus infection cycle includes attachment, entry into the host cell, translation of the replicase, transcriptase, replication of genome and transcription of mRNAs, and assembly, and finally budding of the newly formed variants out of the cell. Here are some electron microscopic pictures. We can see here the reticulovesicular networks, these are being changed. Then some double-stranded RNAs are being formed here in the cell. Then a number of new variants are formed here in the cell. And this is a schematic diagram which shows that endoplasmic reticulum is modified partially to form the double membrane vesicles where the double-stranded RNA are remaining in hiding position to make it complete, and they are completely avoiding evading the host immune reaction. So here is a small video for you just to understand the human coronavirus.
Hello, ma'am. Yeah.
Hello.
Ma'am, actually, we are left with only 5 minutes. So after that,
Okay.
this is going to end. Okay.
Okay, sir. So, coming quickly to the therapeutic options, women use the antivirals, the nucleoside analog, neuraminidase inhibitors, protease inhibitors, the immunomodulators like corticosteroids, immunoglobulin, and interferon, and other therapies. It includes zinc inhibits COV, RNA polymerase activity. Antivirals, amongst the nucleoside analog, ribavirin is a noteworthy one. And other important nucleoside analogs are the favipiravir and the galidesivir, but these are not evaluated till now in COVID-19, 2019. Neuraminidase inhibitor like oseltamivir can be used. Protease inhibitor, that means which can inhibit the protease. There's a protease inhibitor, that is the lopinavir and saquinavir. They can be utilized. Then immunomodulators, some corticosteroids. As we know, the corticosteroids are immunosuppressants. They can be given. They can delay the clearance of viral RNA. For the interferons, we know the interferons are the antiviral, the broad spectrum antivirals. They may be effective in controlling SARS-CoV patients. And immunoglobulin, that is in case of critically ill SARS or COVID patient who show signs of deterioration, intravenous immunoglobulin, that is immunoglobulin from outside, may be given. Who is focusing on the 4 most promising therapies? Number 1, an experimental antiviral compound called remdesivir. Then this matter of the stock of the town is a malaria medications, that is antimalarial chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine. Then the combination of 2 HIV drugs, lopinavir and ritonavir, and some combination is plus interferon beta. Some data on the uses COVID-19 patients have already emerged. The HIV combo failed in a small study in China, but World Health Organization